Hey YouTube, hi Spotify, it's Kel, and I'm coming back to you today with another topic in our manipulation tactics series. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the silent treatment. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because a lot of people do know what the silent treatment is already. But since we were on the topic of manipulation tactics, I just felt like this one should be in there, somewhere. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is what is the silent treatment. The silent treatment is when someone is upset with you, they will, during the silent treatment, they will obviously pull back and refuse to express how they're feeling through silence. So they'll just be silent. And what I would say too is for an abnormally long time. It is one thing if you say to your partner, hey, I think I need a few hours to process, or that is not the silent treatment, okay? The silent treatment, I have literally had clients say that it can go on for days with their partner, which is very concerning. For some people, it may go on. Typically, I would say I most often see it, if you go to bed, and you wake up the next day and you can actually talk to your partner. But the silent treatment is like a prolonged, purposeful, intentional withholding of feelings through, and this is a crucial part of the silent treatment, is that it feels to your partner like punishment. It feels like, and what you would say, well, why do people give the silent treatment? There's a lot of different reasons. Again, some of them are consciously manipulative. And then we're going to talk about some other reasons real quick that are not manipulative. We won't go into those too much because this is the subject of manipulation tactics, right? But some people who have learned the silent treatment as a manipulation tactic, why do they do it? ? Because they want to, it's really about regaining a sense of control, or it can't, so like in the moment they feel either in that moment they feel out of control, so they pull back to gain control back, but then it's like an excessive amount of control where, they use it, again, if they're using it as punishment, that is like an excessive amount of control, right? It also can be if a person is feeling powerless or like one down or just like, yeah, powerless is the word. They will pull back in order to regain a sense of like, now it can't be just personal power, which is like a healthy thing, but the silent treatment is when it's like excessive, where they want to get back into a powerful position. And they use it through, it's essentially abandoning your partner emotionally. And that is why it can hurt so much when you're on the other side of it, right? So, why now? Those are the manipulative parts. It's like it can be like a purposeful punishment, kind of like, well, I'll show you, and I'll just be cold for a while, like that is kind of the purposeful silent treatment. Again, I've heard of clients and their partners go like weeks, which to me is absolutely unacceptable. So, and I hope it would be for you too, because you do need a partner who will communicate with you. Even if they say, hey, I need 24 hours to like process this and think about it, and I'll come back at that time and let you know how I feel or whatever. But so, but the silent treatment in the manipulative way is a purposeful, conscious, kind of withdrawal of communication in order to regain power and control in the situation. And again, it can be punitive or punishing to your partner. So that is kind of, those are the manipulative reasons. There's a few other subconscious, we've talked about the conscious and subconscious reasons why some of the people do some of these manipulative tactics, right? Some of the subconscious reasons can be, and I just had to look these up because I off the top of my head, I hadn't thought about them this fast, but one of them is conflict avoidance. So sometimes you will have a partner who does the silent treatment because when in their household of origin, they could have felt not heard in arguments or shut down, and so they may just go into like silent treatment to kind of avoid the difficult feelings of conflict, or avoid the difficulty of trying to have a voice, or, you know, trying to discuss difficult subjects, right? So that's another one is along the same lines as like overwhelming emotions. So in that moment, they could be, you know, again, overwhelmed by negative emotions. And so not knowing how to, not knowing how to, basically communicate those difficult emotions. And so they just pull back and kind of shut down, and for some people, they just hope the conflict goes away and never ends up really talking about it. So again, that's like, it all depends on how you grew up and how conflict was expressed in your house. Another, and again, this kind of lends itself, they all overlap these ones, but poor communication skills, right? So ideally, you would be able to discuss a conflict with your partner and just say, hey, you know, when you did that, it hurt me or whatever. And it's not, you know, anything that's like very dramatic where it needs to like blow up into like a silent treatment for weeks, you know, or punishing. Again, like clear, direct, honest communication with your partner should not feel punishing. And you should be able to discuss feelings like hurt, anger, sadness, all those kinds of things, right? So, and one last distinction I want to make is the difference between, the difference between the silent treatment and stonewalling is that the silent treatment is like a prolonged period, usually lasts longer than stonewalling. Because again, it can last from like days to, it can last from like, you know, a day or a few hours to weeks, right, for people. So that's the silent treatment, and it feels punishing to your partner. The stonewalling feels abandoning, because what stonewalling is in the middle of an argument, sometimes one partner will feel so overwhelmed by the negative emotions that they shut down internally, and then it's because of their flooding response. So, and then they just like don't know how to kind of they don't know how to communicate their feelings because they don't want to say things that they regret, okay? So that's stonewalling, and stonewalling usually lasts a shorter period of time. It can be just as hurtful because essentially your partner, you know, is abandoning you mid-conversation and basically saying, well, I'm not going to talk about that anymore, or we're done, or sometimes just totally starts ignoring you in the middle of a conversation. That's emotional abandonment in the conversation. So if you feel that way, yes, the stonewalling person could be doing it out of protection and concern for the relationship, but to the partner, it can feel very abandoning, right? So the ideal thing for a stonewaller to do would be like, hey, I'm really feeling this in my body and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I feel like I can feel the, you know, testosterone or my heart racing or whatever. And I need some time to like take a walk or, you know, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour or two, and then we can come back and discuss it again, or worst case scenario, maybe tomorrow or something. So that's the ideal case for the stonewallers. Silent treatment, people who do the silent treatment, you really want to focus on increasing your communication skills during conflict. You also want to focus on, you know, not avoiding the conflict and just hoping it will just, you know, kind of like pass by and forget about it. And then also, trying to work on your body so that you can deal with difficult, like any kind of flooding feelings or any kind of emotionality, and you get better and better with trying to communicate it. So again, if you are on the opposite side of the silent treatment, I think, again, it can definitely lend itself to being a form of disrespect. So it's important for you to say, hey, like, I understand that you need your time to process or whatever, but I need that communicated to me, because it is not okay to just go missing or emotionally abandon the relationship and then you just pop back in when you want to talk. Like, you have to let me know where you're at. You know, even if you're not ready to talk about something, you can say, hey, I'm not ready yet to talk. I'll be ready in like 24 hours. Or, you know, please know this is about me needing to process, and you know what I mean? So like, there's a way to communicate even when you do need more time that is respectful to your partner. But if you just stop talking to your partner and then you go cold on them for hours, days, God forbid, weeks, that is disrespectful. Okay, so I want everybody to see that, like, there is a difference between needing to process difficult emotions and disrespect. So if you're on that side where you're receiving disrespect, it's important for you to verbalize that that is not okay with me when you do, you know, XYZ, whatever it is, how it looks specifically. But and I need a partner who is able to communicate, and I'm a safe person. You can come talk to me about difficult things. But if they continue to give you the silent treatment, I'm just saying for you to know, you know, we'll get into this in another video, but there is capital D disrespect, which is like very obvious. You know, if someone hits you or, you know, steals from you, or who knows, you know what I mean? There's like capital D disrespect. But then there's lots of small d disrespect, which is very, very important for you to kind of hit head on and say, that's not okay with me, or like, I really don't appreciate it when that happens, and I'm looking for someone who does the opposite or whatever. So, you know, stonewalling and the silent treatment, but specifically the silent treatment, because again, stonewalling is typically a flooding body response, and the person usually wants to talk after it's done, whereas the silent treatment is a conscious, purposeful, intentional withholding of your emotions and punishment of your partner. And that's how it feels on the other end. And so if you feel you're being punished, you know, consistently, that is disrespectful. And it is important for you to stand up so that you maintain and protect the love between you. And also you have backbones and you both know what is okay and what's not okay with each other, right? So okay, so I just wanted to pop on and share that one for tonight. I know we've all heard the silent treatment, but I just thought I'd elaborate a little bit since we are in a series about manipulation tactics. And I wish you the best, and I will see you next time.